Hey guys, I'm Azra, and in this Lord of the Rings Rise to War video, I will be showing you a guide about Khaldoon. Right out the bat, there are two builds to him, the first one being his most viable, his troop boosting build, and also his commander damage build. But in this video, I won't be showing you how to build him around his commander damage skills, because that's not what Khaldoon is good in my opinion. If you want to do commander damage, you should prefer Azra or Lords or the Shadow or Zegrid. Khaldoon is a troop boosting commander, which is why we should get the maximum damage out of that type. Here we are, and let's have a look what his strengths are and what his weakness might be. Let's get going with his troop boosting ability and see why it is so strong. Marshal of the East Mark. As you see, his melee units get a 50% chance of reducing the damage they receive by a certain percentage. This is commander damage as well as troop damage. And if you max this out, you also get focused. This overall is mitigating the damage you receive, which is nice. This will be our first talent which we go into. After that, we have tribal tactics, and here you see that your evil man troops get a certain percentage chance to gain follow-up. Follow-up means you get one more attack in the same round. Then we have quicksand. This is increasing the damage your enemy troops receive. Like in this case, 2 enemy units receive a certain percentage more damage, and it is giving you a straight 10% chance to stun those units. And this is a passive. It counts in all the 10 rounds. This is amazing. If we look now to this talent, Easterling, there you see once our commander does a normal attack, he will decrease the stats by a certain percentage. If you max this out, it will be 20%. And we also get 15 might. After you are done with this, you would be going Evil Alliance, then you even further reduce the damage you receive with your Evil Man and Orcs. But let's not count Orcs, we will be running Evil Man with Khaldoon. So that leaves us to the last talent, which will be Iron God. This is where we will be spending the rest of our points. And if you have some points left, I would be going into Spear Dancer with all those points. So this makes the most sense to me. Alright. Now let me show you the order in which we are going to do this. We spent 2 points into Marshal of the East Mark, then 1 point into a Tribal Tactic. This is how we start. And we do this, like this, back and forth. You continue maximizing these skills in this order. 2 points into this, 1 point into this, 2 points into this, and so on. Now, just to speed up things, let me just maximize it out of 0. Also maximize Tribal Tactics. Once you're done with these talents, then you switch over to Quicksand, maximize it. And when you're done with that, you just go over to Easterling, and here you play the same game. 2 points Easterling, 1 point Evil Alliance. Keep it going. Back and forth, but yeah, for this video's sake, let's speed it up. There we go. Then everything you have into Iron God. There you go. This is an amazing troop boosting skill tree, because we aren't just mitigating the damage we receive, we also increase the damage we deal to the enemy troops, while giving us a chance to strike twice per round. And we further decrease the damage we take by decreasing the damage of the enemy troops with our commander. And then we also boost more damage mitigation to our own troops with Evil Alliance. On top of that, further damage mitigation. This is Khaldoon's strength. He tries to lose as less troops as possible while trying to get rid of as many as he can with his troops. And he's doing a good job with it. But of course he has his weaknesses too, being the first #1 weakness, high commander damage. It is what it is, guys. Commanders with high damage are in general a hard counter to troop boosting commanders. Second weakness, madness, because we are aiming to get 3 different troop types into our composition to counter as many enemy troops as we can, but this leaves us open to madness. It leaves us vulnerable to madness, and we need to compensate that weakness with a certain item I will be talking about at the itemization part. So here we are at the items which Khaldoon can wear, and I will be starting with the purple items. In my opinion, these are the strongest items he can equip in regards to purple gear. And at the very top I have listed the battle axe because it has the highest amount of might paired with melee might. This is the maximum boost he can give to his troops. Now let's follow it up with the armor. This is the superior halberd. Again, it has the highest might while bringing also some defenses to the table, which is always nice to have. And we have either shroud or melee vigor as flavors to accompany this. So this is really up to you. I would like to go with shroud because I like the little luck factor built into it, because when your troops manage to dodge the first attack, they get a huge advantage afterwards, and that's where I would like to get the most benefit out from. But if you don't want to depend on luck alone, be free to go with melee vigor. As a helmet, I have decided to go with the full helmet because it has a lot of might, as well as it's giving you damage mitigation if you choose melee vigor, or just go Inspire if you wish to deal as much damage as possible. I would probably go with Inspire because I like the idea of dealing 30% more damage with one troop type, and if that procs with follow-up from tribal tactics, that can be devastating. So it is full helm for me with Inspire. As a trinket, you don't have much to choose from. I think Drums of Moria is the best choice you can make. It's giving you decent stats overall, followed up by some attack plus, and it is giving you as a quality of life changer speed for your melee troops, which is always nice to have because that way you get faster from A to B, and our halberdiers are very slow. If you don't have the Drums of Moria, just go with Bone Talisman as a replacement, but once you grab a hold of drums, switch over to drum. As a legendary gear choice, I have listed not just one weapon but a few, and there is also an order. At the very top sits always the weapon of my number one choice, and as more you go to the bottom, the less priority these weapons have. So Reckoning, in my opinion, is the best item Khaldoon can equip. It is giving you decent might, followed by speed, also plus attack to almost all races Evil has, but Might of Soldiers is a best in slots special effect an item can have for a troop boosting commander, which this item certainly has. You might argue, why should I equip Reckoning? Why shouldn't I go with Sandclaw? Well, I know where you're coming from, but let me level with you for a second. Sandclaw is nice to have. It has decent stats, it even has focus, but focus is just a secondary stat for Khaldoon. Primary stat being might, but also plus attack is nice to have. But why do I have listed Reckoning as place 1? It's because, in my opinion, your Khaldoon should only be a placeholder for as long as you don't have the Witch King. Once you get the Witch King, you want the Witch King to be ready with best in slot gear. And you would be crying if you have wasted his best in slot gear for another commander's weapon. And this is the perfect example. Witch King loves Reckoning as a weapon with Might of Soldiers as a flavor. The Sandclaw is only working for Khaldoon and not so great for the Witch King. If you first get a Sandclaw, alright, nice, keep it, use it. But once you get a Reckoning, switch over to Reckoning. It has slightly better might stats, and it is getting you ready for your Witch King. Having said that, now let's move on to the Fang of East. I think it is okay, but it isn't good enough to waste your legendary equipment such as Reckoning into it, because Reckoning is still number 1 and you still have to keep it for the Witch King. So don't waste your weapon for Fang of East unless you have a lot of legendary gear to get rid of. Moving forward to his chest piece, now this was very complicated because as I see he has so versatile tactics with his chest pieces, and let me explain you why. Great Plate of the East is among the few chest pieces that has Azra training built into it as a special effect. Your melee units will mitigate, if you have maxed this out, 60% damage for the first instances of damage. This is your hardcore counter against characters that have Convener. Gandalf the Grey, bye-bye. Elrond, bye-bye. Or Celeborn, kiss goodbye, baby. Azra training will get rid of that threat. But if you don't have this, if you are unlucky, maybe you have something else, maybe you got Fortitude of Evil Man, that is bringing damage mitigation to the table, which we always appreciate, and that will be our number 2 choice when it comes to the flavor. Moving on to the Warborn Battleplate, in my last video with the Undying, I already explained to you why I like this, but let me repeat. It is bringing good might stats to the table while increasing your survivability with its increased defense stats, as well as increasing your speed. Again, our melee troops are slow. Overall, we like this item a lot. And also it has Fortitude of Soldiers, even more mitigation. We won't say no to this chestplate. And it is a really hard decision between this and the Great Plate. I don't know. Like, this is open for experiments. I don't have the right flavor, the right items either. As one person alone, I can do only that much. I would appreciate it if you guys, if you have these items with the right flavors, if you have experimented with these flavors, what are the results? I'm just theorizing here. And this is the order in which I would like to get these items for my Khaldoon. Am I right? Am I wrong? Go crazy in the comment section, guys. The golden skin, our third option. Why have I chosen this item? I think this item is bringing very decent stats to the table, with might and focus being equally strong, but it has concentration as a flavor, and this is very interesting in my opinion. Since we have follow-up, it is giving us a 25% chance to deal an extra attack, and the longer the battle takes, the more likely it is for us to have our follow-up proc. And the longer the fight lasts, the stronger our troops get, because concentration is increasing 5 times our strength. That, paired with our follow-up, I think can be devastating. So this is my logic behind it. This is why I have listed golden skin here in my visual graphic. Now, Khaldoon being a troop boosting commander, I already mentioned our weakness is madness. We don't want to nuke our own units, which is kind of forcing us to equip Cask of the Submerged Isle, which is why this is my number 1 choice as a helmet. It is bringing good stats to the table, might and focus, a bit of speed, but Aegis is covering our main weakness, and it has also stun immunity. Now let's move on with the Cask of Pride. Why do I have decided to go with this helmet? So first of all, again, it has lots of might stats, followed by high defensive stats, and if you have Fortitude of Soldiers as a flavor, it is also giving you a great damage mitigation when you max it out. Here we are at our trinkets, and yet again I have placed the Palantir of Orphaned as my number 1 trinket. Reason being, it has great stats, little too heavy on focus, but whatever, it has plus attack, but above all it has tactical mark, which is why I think this is a must-have item for Khaldoon. Why am I so biased with tactical mark? Because it is bringing pursuit to the table. For the first rounds, we will always hit our enemy. It doesn't matter if they have evade. And good sight, as many of you know, they have Elvish units or Elven commanders with evade as a feature. We can't afford to not hit. Every hit counts, especially in the first rounds, which is why this is a must-have in my opinion. The first rounds create this vacuum where you tip the battle to your favor or not, which is why I think this is a must-have. This is why this is my number 1 trinket. But if you don't have the Palantir of Orphaned, let's say you have the Signet of the Barrows, this is a great accessory to have, and I will explain to you why. Not because of the focus stat it is bringing to the table, but it has also great HP stats for Evil Man, decent speed as well, which will make our halberdiers to Sonic. But what I like the most is the flavor Blitz, because with Blitz For the first 4 rounds, our commander as well as our army gets a certain percentage chance to gain initiative. Initiative means that you get to strike first. Like commanders who have Convener. Looking at you, Witch King. Looking at you, Gandalf the Grey. This is now our ticket to simulate, to replicate a mini wannabe Witch King with Khaldoon. How is that possible? You know tribal tactics? Our at respect 5 skill tree? It has a 25% to give us follow-up. You know who else has follow-up? Built in into Convener, 75%. Well, in our case it is just 25%, but not for only the first 2 rounds. We have it for the whole 10 rounds. What we would like to do now is gain initiative and be lucky with those 25% and follow-up tribal tactics, so we can have a little Witch King Khaldoon going on. It is very luck based, but still very interesting, and we should consider this possibility, which is why I have listed this accessory here. Again, I'm just experimenting and theorizing here. I don't have all of these items with these flavors. Go nuts in the comment section, guys, if you have these items already equipped and tried out some crazy combinations with it. Let's say you don't have the Palanthea and not the Signet of the Barrows. Let's say you have the Drums of Barad-dûr, which is still a nice trinket to have because it is giving you decent might, focus, and attack stats, covered with Might of Soldiers, increasing the flat damage of your melee troops overall. And if you don't have that one, you can still use Iron God as a second option, which is also nice to have. It will reduce the troops you are losing because now you recover a certain percentage of your melee units. And there you go, guys. These are the items I considered best in slot for Khaldoon. Now let's move forward to Khaldoon's troop composition. Him being a troop boosting commander who specializes in Evil Man, we don't have a lot to play with. So here we have Halberdiers, Corsairs, and Dragoons to play around right out the bat, which are great units in itself. If you look at Halberdiers, they counter mounted units. Mounted units are preferred to be used towards the end game, where a lot of Theodins show up, Eomirs or Eowins. Halberdiers are just great to fight against, especially when your Khaldoon further increases their strength. Or let's say you are fighting a very ranged heavy factions such as Lindon or Arno. You then have your Dragoons as a counter. If you want to deal great damage, you still have your Corsairs with fire damage. They just ignore armor, but they can be countered by High Alert of Gandalf, for example. Or if they have the superior Hauberk with fire resistance, that would be a hardcore counter against your Corsairs. We also have the Vanguards, as many as you know. These are kind of tanky-ish units. They bring good damage to the front, solid HP, high defenses, damage mitigation like physical damage through full armor ability. Yeah, this is another tanky option, but let's assume you are playing Angmar. Angmar has Fallen, of course. Fallen are, I think, the best choice to have with Khaldoon. If you aren't playing Angmar, you still have the Variax with its champions. Champions have great stats as well, and they do bring damage mitigation on top of it to the table. Very nice unit, Variax. And as a bonus information, in Season 4, all evil factions will get Fallen unlocked as a unit, which is a great place to be as a Khaldoon. So long story short, in my opinion, Khaldoon is among the best tier 1 commanders you can have. Thorbeck being another one, or Axok being one of those strong tier 1 commanders. But yes, choosing Khaldoon as one of your tier 1 commanders, you can't go wrong. And that's it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like and consider subscribing. See you guys next time.